back to the show. House Oversight Chairman James Comer. Congressman, it's great to have you on. Congressman, you're getting criticized for saying the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank was because it was distracted by its woke banking. Critics say this was about its bad balance sheet. Underwater, 10-year paper on the balance sheet, yielding 1.5%. They couldn't cash that out immediately after a bank run on deposits. What do you say to this criticism?
Well, I think that's part of the criticism. Look, I said in the interview on Fox yesterday that they invested too heavily in long-term treasuries, and when interest rates go up, the value of these treasuries go down. So that was the primary reason. Secondary, they were a woke bank. If you look at their director of risk management, she brags about their diversified ESG portfolio. And the problem is that a lot of this is fantasy land. It's like the Green New Deal. It doesn't work. It doesn't pencil out. And if you're a bank being insured by the federal government, which is the FDIC, your responsibility is to grant loans to people who can actually pay them back, not just to people who check a box on a liberal wish list. And I think that's part of the problem. I think part of their investment portfolio, they made loans to very risky ventures based more on their liberal wokeness than on the actual ability for that borrower to pay the loans back, in addition to being too heavily invested in treasuries.
It looks like they were going to do $5 billion in loans to sustainability companies. We don't even know if those companies were even above water. They were going to do that by 2027. Let's move on to this. So your committee subpoenaed Bank of America for records relating to the Hunter Biden family deal, the Biden family deal making overseas, including Hunter Biden. What's the story with this? What's going on? Why Bank of America? What's happening?
Well, we've subpoenaed the bank and received bank records from individuals involved in the Biden family business schemes. And what we've realized is what we feared, is that the Biden family was receiving payments that were directly linked to the Chinese Communist Party. Now, what our question is, what exactly was the family doing in return for this money? And that's what the whole investigation is about. You know, what did Joe Biden do? What did he know? When did he know it? Was he directly involved with these business ventures, as the text messages and emails on the hard drive would say? But we've been meeting with whistleblowers who were very involved in the Biden family influence peddling world. We've identified one particular line of transactions from China to the Biden family, and we now have this in hand. So we have a lot of evidence. It's been a big week. We have more people coming in. More people are turning over documents. So we have a lot of momentum over the last 2 weeks with our desire to get the truth out and to determine whether or not this president's compromised by China.
So are people close to the Biden family starting to finally cooperate with your investigation? And is it worse than you realized?
Yes, and yes to both questions. Yes, they are cooperating. I think they realize that we've taken a very mature, specific approach to trying to get these documents. We've been very transparent about what we want. This isn't about a fishing expedition like so many of the investigations on Trump. This is a specific investigation to follow the money from China to the Biden family and try to determine why so much money was transferred from China to the Biden family.
How is it worse than realized?
Well, it's just a lot more transactions. And you know, what are they going to be able to say that they did? There's no business there. The Bidens didn't own any real estate. They didn't manufacture anything. They weren't licensed to sell anything. They weren't registered lobbyists. What were they doing to receive all this money? That's the question every American should have of the current president of the United States and their family with respect to the millions of dollars they received from our adversary.
Okay. Congressman Comer, thanks for joining us tonight. It's good to see you.